Welcome to Dan's Talks. Today, my guest is Randye Lordon, author of numerous mystery books, who will be attending and appearing in the upcoming Whodunit weekend that's taking place between April 14 and 17 here in East Hampton. And I guess tell me a little bit about how you perceive the kinds of books you write. How did you get into it? Did you think about it or like to read these books and stuff?
No, not at all. I had been in theater, and when I was told, boy, when you're 50, you're gonna be hot stuff, I thought, I don't have that kind of time. I was in my 20s. And so I thought, a friend of mine was blue, and I decided to cheer her up, and I started writing a short story. The next thing I know, I wrote a short mystery thinking, gosh, mysteries will be easy. And I don't know if you remember Ellery Queen Mystery Magazine,
Yeah.
but I sent them my first, and wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles, they took it. And the next one and the next one. And that kind of spurred me on. It was much easier to get a rejection letter in the mail than to get a rejection to your face. And I decided to take this path as a writer. And then I thought, well, this is in the early 90s, late 80s. And I thought, I'm gay. And I thought to myself, gosh, I don't see many books that reflect my kind of lifestyle. So I decided, how do you bridge the gap between gay readership and straight readership? And I thought, find that common denominator. And for me, that was family. Everybody has family, no matter what kind or how bad or how good or how crazy. They're all dysfunctional. And so and who hasn't wanted to kill a family member? And so that was the route that I took with brother's keeper, sisterly love, brotherly love, sister's keeper. Wait a minute, there's more. But anyway, that's where I started to do that. And at that time, you could not get shelf space. If it was a gay book, you were thrown in gay studies, which was a tiny shelf at the bottom, the bottom shelf in the back of a store. So it was, and the next thing I know, many years later, I'm out here and I started, She's Dead, Who Cares?
How did you?
Which is not in the series. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's not in the series.
Tell me how long did you grow up out here or did you move out here?
No, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. Moved to New York City the day after my 18th birthday. Was in theater for, I guess around 5-6 years. Went from acting to casting to, then I worked at a catering company as a sous chef for many years as I was writing. And then my first book I sent to one of the top mystery agents, thinking let's start at the top, but I also sent it to St. Martin's Press over the transom when you could do it back then. It was a very different reality. And St. Martin's liked it, wanted it, and so did the agent.
How do you explain that? A lot of different people are writing in this genre. What is it about your writing you think that it is so made it successful, whereas others not so much?
It's a really interesting question. In my first book, when I was writing it, I thought, for God's sake, St. Martin's alone does 170 of these books a year. They're not going to want this. And when I'm writing, I don't read. And so a friend of mine said, well, you're not going to write. Why don't you read this book? And it was by a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list. Every book that she wrote, a mystery series. And it was horrible. It was just horrible. And I called my friend. I said, well, that was garbage. And she said, well, if you think you can do better, do it. And I think it was because it was a different type of protagonist. And I think that, this ain't great art. This is fun. So if you want a fast read and have a good time, these are the books that I write.
How are they, short books and rather than
No,
length?
they're around 300 pages, like most.
When did you transit from typewriter to computer easily? That was.
It was a transition. That was a transition.
Yeah,
I was on one of those old Apples where the screen was like that big.
that's what happened with me too. I
Yeah,
went, wow, this makes it so much better.
it did. It's faster. The
No
keyboard's
more white out. Yeah. Have you ever written a book where you got through it, into it, and it turns into something that you can't finish because it's not going to work? Or have they?
Yeah.
What? Tell me about one of
This
those.
one.
Oh, what was that? There it is. It did.
Here, I'll show it to you like this. My friends, my dear friends, created a cake for me and put in a couple of these. So it's, but anyway, this book started a very long time ago. It started as the original title was Made in the Hamptons, long before the J-Lo movie was made. And my idea was to do a series where made in Chicago, made in Manhattan, made in, LA, Beverly Hills, whatever. And my agent at the time said, you can't do it. Nobody wants to read about, they want to read about the Hamptons. They don't want to read about the Maid. And, I said, no, but they're getting into those houses and doing that. And I worked on it for a very long time, got towards the end and threw it out.
What
And
was
then came back.
what made you throw it out? What was happened in the book that you couldn't get straight?
It wasn't working. He was right. I think I lost my heart. I think I just lost my drive with that one. And it happens. You can get halfway through a book and just say, no, it's not working. It happens to me. And then I just, go on to something else.
How many have you written altogether?
I've had 8 published, but I've probably written 15 books. And one of them was actually printed out at 700 pages.
Wow, that's a long
It's a piece of furniture.
Yes, it is. Is there a way you can describe what happens in a book that you might, or are they all so different from one another? How does it work?
Well, I've never been good at the cocktail party line, but I think they're all, well, the problem, and this was the problem for me with the Sydney Sloane series, and that was the publishers expect a formula. And you don't necessarily want to continue to write the same type of formula. I had one editor call me and say, have you started the next book? I said, yeah, I have. And she goes, don't forget now, you need an act of violence, some side of violence within the first 50 pages. And on page 2, I said, oh no, I've already got it. It's page 2. And it was really just a strawberry getting stuck in someone's throat. But as and spits it out. It was kind of, but I don't like to have to, but with mysteries, there is a specific type of formula for each different genre within mysteries.
What book have you done about the Hamptons? You said many of them or some of them?
This one is the first one, really. It's called She's Dead, Who Cares? And it's about an art dealer who, a very nasty woman who is murdered, and Mary Moody is our protagonist, and she's a concierge out here, and she's well situated, was a divorce attorney in Manhattan for years and years and years, and left there and came out here and somehow found herself as a concierge to the rich and famous. And she's the one that's employed to go and find her. It's a friend of hers who's been, a client that's been murdered, but a friend who insists that she finds out who did it.
Well, there are 3 famous murders that have happened out here in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Have you been to these kinds of weekends before? Have you gone to any of these? Or is this?
Well, I've done things like Boucher Con and Mystery Writers, and I've done that type of thing, but not like this. This is very different. And they are covering the Almond murder. I believe, in this.
What do you mean by what you just said?
BoucherCon. These are conventions for mystery writers.
So this is more of a celebration of mystery writers, I think.
And a celebration of this area. Yeah. Yeah, it's very exciting. A different format. I love it. And to be a part of it at its onset is very exciting.
Yeah. Why did you come out here from New York, I guess? When?
Well, I think people move for just a very limited number of reasons. One of them is school, a job, love, parents. Mine was love, and now I love the area.
Yep. What do you like in particular? What do you do with your day when you're not writing?
Also, an innkeeper at the 1770 house, and I've recently gone from full-time there to going part-time, and I love that. I mean, there's not a better job suited for me. And I'm also a dog sitter, which, it's kind of like being a prostitute. You get paid to give love and receive love. And I write.
Do you set a time of day when you do it? You think you're at your best?
I used to just roll out of bed, and that's when I would do it. But because my schedule has changed, I have more freedom. And so I surprise myself sometimes by working at night. So it's all times a day.
Have you tried any of these new things that have they say are life changing with the chatbots?
I barely could get on here with you.
Do you write on a laptop with Microsoft Word? That's pretty much the one I use too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my computer I use as, I glance at email, and I do my research, and I write. It's not like I'm not as connected to my devices as most people, I think, are.
What aspect of the weekend are you going to appear in?
It's going to be on a panel with Helen Harrison and Eve. Can you believe her name just popped right? I'm so sorry, Eve.
Carlin, I think.
Thank you, Eve. That's right. Who's works at BookHampton, and we're all three local writers. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
What are you going to talk about?
I don't know. The Hamptons, I guess. It's all a mystery to me too now. They don't tell us anything, Dan. We're going to be surprised when we get there.
I've been asked to be part of it as well.
Oh, that's great. In what capacity?
I'm on a panel it's about the almond murder, because I know.
Oh, isn't that funny? And I'm telling you what you're doing.
Well, when you're writing a newspaper, you tend to know everything that's going on every week. So,
yeah.
So very, very interesting to do. What town are you in? Are you at East Hampton?
I am. I'm in the Clearwater section.
Oh, that's nice. That's you've got your own little private beach up there, I think.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. It just occurred to me about that. That used to be a most rundown area imaginable. It was terrible shape. And another place that was all rundown terrible was the trailer park in Montauk on the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
So both of these have flipped.
It's crazy. It's really crazy, especially since COVID. There are houses here that should have been, 300, and 300 anywhere else would have been like 8 times as much. But now I asked for a place near me, 1.6. It's like, you're ridiculous. It wasn't even 1,300 square feet.
Yeah, that's true. So when you say you're the innkeeper at
1770.
The manager of the 1770.
No, the manager there is Carol Covell. She's the GM. And then they've got a restaurant manager, an inn manager, and a kitchen manager.
So which are you?
Inn manager.
In manager?
Well,
yeah. We
but
often,
like I said, I've changed because I'm only there 2-3 days a week now.
yeah, I noticed in your email, you had an email for there. So anyway, and we often eat there. It's a wonderful inn. I like it a lot. Again, it was one of the first places I went out for dinner when I first moved out here, which is, believe it or not, almost 66 years ago. That's a long time ago.
I've read up about you before.
What do you have are you between books right now? Or are you thinking about
I am.
it?
I've started the next Mary Moody book. I got a really nice review from Publishers Weekly, and I thought at first that maybe this will be a standalone, but they seem to imply that they'd really like to see it as a series, and it lends itself to that. It really does. So I've started that. Talk about throwing something away, though. It's like I wrote the first 30 or 40 pages. And I thought, no, that's not the plot that I want. I want something else. So I tossed that and I'm working on something else.
I see. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. It's
Hey, thank you for having me, Dan.
and I'll see you that weekend, which is,
I look forward to it.
that's going to be quite something for me because we have a house in East Hampton that isn't, I guess it's sort of shaped like an L. I'm talking to you from there. And that the crux of the L is our kitchen. And it's being done beginning around, they're going to put the drapes up to go to kick
God.
About the 5th of April, and they promise it'll be done by the 5th of May, which means that we'll be without a kitchen and probably at the 1770 house for meals.
Come on Thursdays. Go to the tavern on Thursdays. You get a discount of 17.70%. Can I ask you a question before you leave? Who did that painting behind you?
Priscilla Bowden.
Beautiful.
You know her? Did you know? Oh, she is a good friend of mine, and I wanted one of her paintings. She was a great painter. And thank you for asking. Nobody ever asked me that before, but that is, by the way, and just to wind this up, to tell you about something, that field is the field that Jackson Pollock looked out on. Was
yes, of course.
On Springs Fireplace Road up that way. If you go up there now, it's all overgrown. It's all. Yeah. That's where the Free Life launched, through the grass, low grass at that time.
You were there then, right?
Yeah.
So you know Jeannie Henderson.
Oh, sure. In fact, the Pushcart Press has published some of my books.
Jeannie made this.
Good to talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being.
I'll see you soon, Dan. Thank you. Bye.